All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we're just going to take a look at the Pro Bowl rosters. Who is going to the Pro Bowl this year? For the Pro Bowl games, I should say. I mean, it's not, the traditional, 4-quarter game that we're used to. There's skills challenges. There's, now it's flag football. So let's kind of take a look, shall we? So we'll start with the AFC. So there's going to be no Josh Allen, no Lamar Jackson. They were replaced by Russell Wilson and Drake May. And then you got Joe Burrow. Running backs, there'll be no Derrick Henry. I think James Cook is replacing him. You got Joe Mixon, Jonathan Taylor, Patrick Ricard, Jamar Chase, who had an unbelievable year. Joe Burrow had an unbelievable year too, which, it's just unfortunate that the Bengals didn't make the playoffs. But, Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown. You got Jerry Jeudy, who had a very good first season with the Browns as one of the lone bright spots of the team. You had Nico Collins and Brian Thomas Jr., who was a bright spot for the Jaguars in 2024. He replaces Zay Flowers. Tight ends, you got Brock Bowers. Unbelievable year for him. Again, lone bright spot of the Raiders in a tough year for them. Jonnu Smith replaced Travis Kelce. Jonnu Smith was good for the Dolphins. The Dolphins had a rough year, with Tua getting hurt. And he really developed into a nice weapon for them. So, he replaces Travis Kelce, obviously, with Kelce playing in the Super Bowl. Then you got Deion Dawkins of the Buffalo Bills, Rashawn Slater, Ronnie Stanley. He replaced Laramie Tunsil. Offensive guards, you got Quinn Nelson of the Colts, Joel Bitonio with the Browns. He replaces Joe Thuney. And Isaac Sayamalu Malo with the Steelers. He replaces Trey Smith. So obviously playing in the Super Bowl. And then Tyler Linderbaum of the Ravens is replacing... he made it, but also there's a replacement that is needed for Creed Humphrey because, again, he is playing in the Super Bowl. Then you got Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Danielle Hunter of the Texans replacing Max Crosby. He had a good year for the Texans. First year with the Texans. You got Cam Hayward, Matabuke with the Ravens, Quinnen Williams with the Jets replacing Chris Jones, Nick Bonito with the Broncos, Kyle Van Noy of the Ravens replacing TJ Watt, and then Joey Bosa replacing his teammate Khalil Mack. You got Roquan Smith and Zaire Franklin, and then you got Derek Stingley, Patrick Surtain, Marlon Humphrey, Denzel Ward, Minka Fitzpatrick, Kyle Hamilton, Derwin James, and and then special teams, you got the Jaguars long snapper Ross Matisic. He's the one name that I cannot pronounce. Logan Cook of the Jaguars. So yeah, Jaguars special teams representing. You got Boswell of the Steelers. I mean, Chris Boswell, he had a great year for them. He was one of the best kickers. Marvin Mims had a good year, good second year with the Broncos. And then Miles Killebrew with the Steelers. So that's the AFC. Then you got Jared Goff, Jaden Daniels, and Sam Darnold. Well-deserved for all three of them. Running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs. Bijan Robinson replaced Saquon. Kyle Juszczyk, I mean, he's always making it as a fullback. Good player for the Niners. Justin Jefferson, I mean, he had a really good year once again. With the new quarterback, Terry McLaurin had his best season with Jaden Daniels. He's in it. Malik Neighbors actually replaced Amon-Ra St. Brown. Mike Evans replaced CeeDee Lamb, both of those guys. Neighbors had a good year. I mean, look at the quarterbacks that he had to play with. And, he still put together a solid rookie season. Mike Evans, 11 years of over 1,000 yards. And we'll see if he can go for 12 next year. Then you got George Kittle, who's always there. Trey McBride of the Cardinals. Tristan Wirfs, Brian O'Neill replacing Lane Johnson. Taylor Decker replacing his teammate Penei Sewell. Offensive guards, you got Tyler Smith of the Cowboys, Chris Lindstrom of the Falcons, Robert Hunt of the Panthers, replacing Landon Dickerson. Center, you got the Lions' Frank Ragnow, Eric McCoy of the Saints, replacing Cam Jurgens, who's playing in the Super Bowl. Defensive ends, you got Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, and Rashawn Gary. Dexter Lawrence, Vita Vea, and Leonard Williams replacing Jalen Carter. Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Jared Verso, a couple of Vikings and a Ram. Fred Warner, Bobby Wagner replacing Zach Bond. Jalen Johnson, Byron Murphy, J.C. Horn, Devon Witherspoon, Xavier McKinney, Buda Baker, and Brian Branch. And then you have Andrew DePaula for the Vikings, long snapper. Jack Fox, punter for the Lions. And then Brandon Aubrey had another great year for the Cowboys. Kamante Turpin for the Cowboys. He was good on special teams this year. Also had that... actually, no, that was on special teams. That long touchdown against the Commanders. That was a return. Kadero Hodge of the Falcons. He also made it as well. I hope that I got all of them and there wasn't any more replacements. But those are the rosters. I mean, all well deserved. All well deserved. My thing is just the Pro Bowl just doesn't do it for me. And I know they're trying to do something different, and they're trying to, I guess, in a way, appease the players. Because I mean, watching the traditional game, I mean, it hasn't really been good. The best version of the Pro Bowl for me, and I talked about this on previous shows. I know I definitely did that. I thought the best format for me was when they did the fantasy drafts. I honestly thought that was the best format. When you had two Hall of Famers draft teams, and then they played against each other. But the other thing, too, is with the Pro Bowl, the best players usually don't go. Now, obviously, there are very good players. There are some of the best players here. But the best of the best is not always there. Because sometimes they're playing in the Super Bowl. Or sometimes they just choose not to go. I mean, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, they'd always be voted into the Pro Bowl, but most of the time they don't go. Well, Tom Brady also was playing Super Bowls. And Aaron Rodgers has played in the Pro Bowl. Just there have been years where he hasn't. But, I mean, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry aren't going. Josh Allen's not going. I mean, they could very easily be like, yeah, we'll go. But you know what? They're also coming off of, the grind of the season. And, I mean, they both suffered some tough playoff losses here. So, you kind of get it from that perspective, if that's how they're feeling. Not to, they don't feel like they want to go. So, yeah, I mean, look, I don't blame anybody for not going. It's just, there's been years where, like, we see Tyler Huntley ended up going to the Pro Bowl. Tyler Huntley? Because he was backing up Lamar Jackson and he played in a playoff game for them. He ended up making the Pro Bowl. It's crazy. But that's just how it is now. So, I mean, I'm not going to be... I mean, maybe I'll, flip it on for a second. See what's up. I feel like, we talk about Chiefs fatigue. And no offense to them, because I love both of them. But I feel like people are going to be suffering, and they probably already have, from the Manning brothers fatigue. Because Peyton Manning is in a ton of commercials. Now you got the Kick of Destiny 3 with Peyton and Eli going at it. They do the Manning cast. And now, they're last couple of years now they've been doing the Pro Bowl. The Manning brothers are everywhere. So, at some point this way of doing the Pro Bowl is, they might have to do away with it. But honestly, what they could do is, because they put this on, smacked in the middle of the championship games, and then you got the bye week, and then you got the Super Bowl. But maybe, because then, if some of the players that haven't elected to go to the Pro Bowl, maybe they change their mind if it's after the Super Bowl. And maybe you get the players that are playing in the Super Bowl, maybe you get them to play in it afterwards. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. If you held the Pro Bowl to after the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't think they're going to do that. But they also want to have something, at least in between the championship games and the Super Bowl. So, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. But, yeah, I mean, you look at the rosters. like I said, I mean, does Drake May really deserve to be a Pro Bowler? I mean, he was good. Look, not saying he was bad. I'm just saying, like, does he deserve to be a Pro Bowler? Does Russell Wilson deserve to be a Pro Bowler when he played, like, he didn't even play the whole year? I mean, again, put up solid numbers, but I don't know. Like, when you look at the other All-Star games, the best players are always going. But that's because they're having them in the middle of the year. You know, the All-Star game for baseball, the All-Star game for the NBA, the All-Star game for NHL. The best players usually go. For the NFL, because they hold it, you know, smacked in the middle of the playoffs or towards the end of the playoffs, you know, it's the best players sometimes just don't go. Or for the most part, just don't go. So, I don't know. That's just me. But, yeah. So, those are the rosters. Like I said, I mean, I might turn it on for a little bit, but, yeah, I'm not going to be locked into that. Actually, we'll not really answer another comment, but we'll acknowledge a comment. So, JHIXX, he said that Kellen Moore is going to be the next Saints head coach. So, we're in agreement there. We'll see what happens. But it seems like, because I saw a headline that said, you know, he might be in the driver's seat. But, like I said, someone's got to take that job. So, but that is pretty much it for the show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. As I always say, make sure to check out all the other shows as well. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Greatly appreciate it. We're also on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you type in GSMC, you know, type in GSMC Football Podcast, you know, you will get results on that. So if you want to listen to the podcast, you can do that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we will be back again tomorrow. So as always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and like I said, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.